The owners of miniature Japanese vehicles are looking to a lawyer now for help. In February, we told you state lawmakers were considering a proposal to legalize miniature K cars.
This pickup truck is now banned in 12 U.S. states, and the reason will make you furious. Fake safety tests are being used as a cover-up, but the real agenda is money. Behind the scenes, AAMVA is quietly pulling strings to kill these affordable trucks for good. Owning a truck that costs under 10 grand is now a problem in America. Yeah, no joke. These tiny little Japanese pickup trucks, we're talking about K trucks like the Honda Acti, are getting banned across 12 U.S. states. Banned, as in not allowed. And the owners? Yeah, they're losing their minds, rightfully so. Because while everyone else is out here struggling to pay off a $70,000 beast of a truck that drinks gas like it's on spring break, these folks thought they were being smart, economical, efficient. Turns out that's illegal now. Let's break it down. These K trucks are compact, insanely fuel efficient, and cost anywhere from $5,000 to $10,000. That's right, you can get 5 of these things for the price of one oversized American pickup with cup holders the size of basketball hoops. Last year alone, the U.S. imported 7,594 of these mini miracles. And there are already about 45,000 low-speed vehicles like them cruising around quietly. Or at least they were cruising, until the crackdown started. And let me tell you, it's not because of safety. No, it's because these little trucks dared to mess with the U.S. truck market's sacred cow. Overpriced, overhyped, and oversized status machines. So why are they actually getting banned? Here's the truth. No one in a shiny suit will say out loud, you're not supposed to spend $10,000 on a truck. You're supposed to be chained to a $1,200 per month payment plan on a big boy that needs 3 parking spaces and a second mortgage to fuel up. And when something shows up that works just as well, costs less, and doesn't try to murder your wallet every week, yeah, you can bet they're going to slap a not safe sticker on it faster than you can say dealership markup. Let's talk about why people actually love these things. Japanese K-class vehicles aren't some overnight TikTok trend. They've been around for decades, and there are millions of them on the road in Japan right now. Millions. Why? Because they work. They're efficient, durable, reliable. Everything you'd want in a truck unless you're into paying for chrome and Bluetooth tailgates. These things are built for tight spaces, tiny roads, and actual work. You're not flexing with one of these. You're hauling, parking, delivering, doing stuff. You know, like trucks are supposed to. Design-wise, they've got this genius cab-forward build that gives you maximum cargo space in a minimal footprint. They weigh just 1,500 pounds. That's lighter than some gym bros. And because they're so small, they're stupidly easy to park. You're not doing a 12-point turn just to leave Home Depot. And the parts? Cheap. Fuel? Barely sips it. Insurance? Practically nothing. These trucks were made for actual people, not for car commercials. Now, let's put a face to this. Alex Perkins, just a regular guy working at Precision Motorworks, had an old Ford Ranger that was basically falling apart. In 2020, they swapped it out for a Honda Acti. At first, he was skeptical. Fast forward 6 months, and he's fully converted. Fuel costs dropped, maintenance got simpler, and the truck could park within an inch of where he wanted it. Try doing that with a suburban-sized truck. These little K trucks don't just work, they outperform in ways that matter to everyday people. And here's the part that really gets under the skin of automakers. Small businesses started catching on. Imagine you run a landscaping company. You can buy 5 K trucks for the price of 1 Silverado or Ram. That's 5 drivers, 5 routes, 5 chances to grow your business without going bankrupt. But nah, we can't have that. That's too much independence, too much affordability. Better shut that down. So, of course, the powers that be needed an excuse. And guys, did they come through with the classic safety? You knew it was coming. So, let's talk about this famous crash test that keeps getting trotted out like it's the final word. In 2008, there was this Insurance Institute test where a mini truck, a Tiger Star to be specific, got wrecked by a Ford Ranger. The video is dramatic. The little guy crumples like a soda can. Case closed, right? Except, let's just peel back the drama, shall we? The Tiger Star hit the Ranger at 25 miles per hour. and the Ranger hit it at 35 miles per hour. Do the math. That's a combined impact equivalent to 60 miles per hour. No vehicle that weighs 1,500 pounds is going to survive that. It's physics. You might as well crash a Vespa into a dump truck and act surprised when it doesn't go well. It's not a fair test. It's not even a relevant one. That test was the visual equivalent of a jump scare. No context, just carnage. And here's the kicker. The Tiger Star wasn't even a real K-truck. It was American assembled using similar dimensions, but built totally differently. But sure, let's use that as the poster child for banning K-trucks. Makes total sense. Meanwhile, actual K-trucks? Way better visibility than most American pickups. Smaller blind spots, easier handling, less mass, all of which means fewer accidents. But we don't talk about that. Because if we did, we'd have to admit that the real danger might actually be those massive 6,000 to 7,000 pound SUVs and trucks currently mowing down pedestrians at alarming rates. Speaking of that, here's a stat nobody at the DMV wants to hear. Between 2009 and 2018, pedestrian deaths in the US rose by 46%. That's not a typo. 46%. And guess who's doing most of the damage? Not K-trucks. It's the giant, high-riding tanks with grills tall enough to hide a whole elementary school class. Those are still legal, by the way. Nobody's pulling registrations for those. But a tiny truck that you can park with your eyes closed? That's gotta go. Now let's look at what Japan's been doing with these things. Their Institute for Traffic Accident Research analyzed 1,379 real crash cases involving K-trucks. The result? No significant difference in injury severity compared to standard cars. None. Not less safe, not more dangerous, just normal. But that's not exciting enough for American regulators. They don't want normal. They want a villain. And K-trucks are the perfect one. They're small, foreign, and worst of all, they make sense. So let's talk about this so-called regulatory crackdown. Because, wow, it's sneaky. They didn't roll out big headlines saying, hey, we're banning your trucks. No. They started small, quiet little moves. First, some title revocations here and there. Then they reinterpret a few laws. And suddenly, DMV offices start handing out these weird best practices memos. It's like a silent war against anyone who dares to own a $10,000 truck that doesn't bankrupt them. And if you're as tired of these shady tactics as I am, hit that subscribe button right now, because we're not done exposing this nonsense. Now, let me introduce the real puppet masters behind this whole thing, the American Association of Motor Vehicle Administrators, AAMVA. Sounds boring, right? Like some random committee nobody cares about. But don't let the name fool you. This group is a heavyweight. They've got influence across every DMV in all 50 states, plus Washington, D.C., and even Canada. And here's the kicker. They're not a government agency, so there's no public accountability. No Freedom of Information Act requests, no congressional hearings, no reporters snooping around. They just sit in their offices and quietly decide what best practices you should follow. They get to pull strings without anyone asking why. Maine was their first big test case. In 2021, the state basically woke up one morning and decided that K-trucks were off-road vehicles. And just like that, owners who had perfectly legal trucks the day before got letters in the mail saying their titles were revoked. No warning, no debate, nothing. Imagine buying a vehicle, paying for plates, driving it for months, and then the state just tells you, oops, sorry, you're illegal now. Oh, and it wasn't just about stopping new registrations. Maine went retroactive. They hunted down people who already had plates and ripped them away. It was like watching a bad dystopian movie, except it was real life. And, of course, Rhode Island just couldn't let Maine have all the fun. They jumped on board, using General Law 31-3-5 as their magic wand. They labeled these trucks mechanically unfit for highways. Did they hold a debate? Nope. Did they bother with actual crash data? Absolutely not. They just slapped that label on and called it a day. And like clockwork, other states started falling in line. Pennsylvania, Oregon, Massachusetts, all lining up like obedient dominoes, following AAMVA's playbook. Because why bother with safety studies when you can just say, yeah, these trucks don't meet our vibe, so they're banned. But here's where the story actually gets interesting, because people started fighting back, and not just in a complain on Facebook kind of way. In Texas, where big trucks practically have their own religion, K-truck owners decided they'd had enough. From 2021 to 2024, they formed this group called the Linear K Advocacy Group. These weren't big-money lobbyists. These were regular folks with tiny trucks and big energy. They made over 180 personal contacts with Texas lawmakers. That's not some spam email campaign. That's picking up the phone, meeting face-to-face, and saying, hey, your $70,000 truck monopoly isn't going to crush us. And guess what? They actually won. Senate Bill 1816 passed unanimously in April 2024. Yeah, you heard that right. 142 votes for, 0 against. When does that ever happen? It's like everyone finally realized, wait, maybe banning affordable trucks is kind of stupid. Texas flipped its stance, and suddenly the so-called dangerous K-trucks were legal again. One state down, 11 more to go. Then came Massachusetts. And wow, they thought they could push people around. In June 2024, they tried rolling out this blanket ban on Japanese imports, thinking everyone would just roll over. Nope. Matt Isgro and Mason Min weren't having it. These guys weren't politicians. They weren't even activists. They were just truck owners with a bone to pick. But within weeks, they built a Facebook group with over 900 members. That's right, 900 people ready to flood AAMVA meetings and demand answers. And they didn't just complain, they brought receipts, stories, and the kind of energy that makes bureaucrats sweat. By September 18, 2024, Massachusetts caved. They reversed their stance and agreed to allow K-truck registrations while doing new safety studies. They had no real reason to ban them in the first place, and the public called them out on it. It wasn't about safety. It was about protecting fat profits for the domestic truck market, and people finally started noticing. These wins, Texas, Massachusetts, they proved something huge. The bans were never about keeping people safe. They were about protecting overpriced trucks and the automakers who love those fat profit margins. These grassroots movements forced states to actually look at the facts instead of just copying whatever AAMVA told them. And now, it's not just a K-truck fight anymore. It's a full-blown transportation rights battle. Libertarians, environmentalists, small business owners, rural mail carriers, all these groups are coming together. Because at the end of the day, it's about freedom to drive what works, not just what makes Detroit happy.